Welcome in to Bears Weekly, powered by IGS Energy, a Chicago Bears network production. Bears Weekly is brought to you by Advocate Healthcare, Athletico Physical Therapy, CDW, Connie's Pizza, IGS Energy, and Miller Lite. Here are your hosts, Jeff Joniak, a.k.a. the Mayor of Bearsville, and his sidekick, Tom the Surfmaster Thayer.
All right, a lot of great stuff happened over the course of the last 3 or 4 days about your Bears, man. They took care of business against the Bengals in the preseason home opener, and now wrap up a rapid preseason as they take on the two-time defending champion Kansas City Chiefs coming up on Thursday. You'll hear that game, I believe, the kickoff at 7:25 from Kansas City, right here on AM 1000 and the Bears Radio Network. Jeff Joniak along with Tom Thayer. We'll have a special guest today. It'll be Gerald Everett, the veteran tight end. Want to thank our crew of producers that always help us out. Justin Pottinger handling the work here today, as well as we got Dan Brilli and Jordan Tredup. And our executive producer of the Bears Radio Network is Eric Ostrowski. We welcome in the Super Bowl winning Bears guard, Tom Thayer. I know you enjoyed that performance, and a Bears team that really is shutting the door defensively. Caleb Williams and the offense getting a lot of attention, and rightly so. But that defense, Tommy, has been real good. I think outscoring opponents 60-3 or 60-10 in the last couple games.
Yeah, they haven't allowed the opponent's running game to be very productive. They've really challenged their pass protection. They've kind of shown to the other teams around the league what they're capable of doing, not only on the front end, but from the back end to help the front end. And I think that's going to open the eyes of a lot of early season offensive coordinators, because the Bears have a lot of pieces yet to be in place. When you look at Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon just coming back in the fold, Tyreek Stevenson getting healthier, and Montez Sweat hasn't played very much. So there's a lot more building that this team can do defensively. And then they got exposed a little bit what this offense is capable of and where it's going and what's happening. So there's a lot of exciting things that I think to look at, to watch, and pay and anticipate.
Today, practice, just to get the week underway. Jaquan Brisker is back, so that's the first time in a couple weeks, and I think we both agree that is a major development, because just to get as many reps as possible for that opener together. Byard not able to go just yet, but if he comes back here in the short term, using those couple weeks after this preseason wraps up to get ready for the opener will be critical.
Yeah, well, we sat up in the booth Saturday and watched Jaquan Brisker go through a pretty extensive pregame workout, and making sure that everything from running around to stretching out to having a little hand-eye coordination drills with Coach John Hoke. So I think that's a step in the right direction. So it's not like you're just going to the stadium watching them play the game. You're making sure that you're doing your due diligence and getting to work and putting some stress in and on your body to get an evaluation of where you're at.
All right, that defense, by the way, 9 consecutive quarters since the defense has allowed a touchdown here in the preseason, and the interceptions and the takeaways starting to pile up as well. I had a series of people here at Hallis today go to the podium. We like to play that for you each and every week of our show. Today, offensive coordinator Shane Waldron took the mic to talk about Caleb Williams, the offense, and how things worked against the Cincinnati Bengals and what he's learning.
Yeah, the daily improvement, the daily recognition of all the different fronts, coverages, defensive structures that we'll see. Obviously, it was great to go against Cincinnati for a couple days there, where you get a little bit more of that 3-4 structure and their base defensive look. So, every one of these reps, I think he's used as a learning op, and he keeps banking them and understanding some of the spatial differences, maybe from, the hash marks in college to the pros. So he's constantly learning and understanding, and it's our job to keep doing a great job with Kerry and myself of, putting him in the where can his eyes go fast so he can read it and play fast every single snap.
What have you seen from him in terms of adapting to the speed, in terms of specifically the throwing windows that they just close so much faster.
Yep. I think, part of that, is just seeing concepts for the first time sometimes in those live game actions. But, he had the great, the ball out to Cole, the ball out to Simba, some of those where he's showing that he plays in rhythm, he can play in rhythm, find those throws. And then, what's pretty cool to watch is when the play breaks down, it almost seems like it's in slow motion for him, and he can find the different rush lanes, being smart with the ball, break and contain, and creating some explosives down the field. So, for us with him, it's about finding the balance of those two things, and I think he's doing a good job of progressing with that. And like you mentioned, feeling out what are those windows, what are the windows that are too tight to fit it in, or what are the windows that are legit completions before getting into potential scramble.
How do you sort of describe his ability to not only understand what he sees, but to explain it in a way that's productive for you and then the guys around him?
Yeah, I think it's a great trait that he has. Like when we get over to the sideline and you look at the surface, but before you even look at the surface, he can already tell you, why behind each read. And I think that's the most important part. If he's not seeing it clearly or something like that, that's where you really need to, go back and go through it. But, he sees it clearly, can really talk about, different windows. And also from the quarterback's lens is totally different than what you see from the stands lens or the coach on the sideline lens. That ground level, where was the defender exactly at when you hit the top of your drop? And he's so, he easily can clearly articulate every one of those points in regards to the space or what happened on a play.
Caleb talked about the scramble rules on the 45-yarder to Rome for him to know just where to stay in range, for Rome to know where he needed to be in that. I know the play looks effortless and all that the guys are saying, but how difficult was the execution of that, and just showing how the two of them as rookies have been able to master that?
Yeah, I think for those guys, the effort, was starting with Rome with his instant reaction when he feels the play going off schedule. Chris Beatty's done a great job with the receivers, coaching them up on what are some of the scramble response rules and where to get to, but starts with that hustle and that effort, anytime a play breaks down. And then for the line up front as well, understanding, those would be the tempting times to maybe grab the defensive lineman or hold right there. But they did a great job saying clean hands, clean feet. And then, the rest of it, like that throw he's making rolling to his left, I'd love to say that we drilled that forever and then magically we made that happen. But man, he's got that ability. And to me, that's where finds that balance of, when's the right time. And that was obviously a great time to create something off schedule right there when he didn't feel his initial reads were there in rhythm. And then he's also clean with the ball to get through the line of scrimmage and find Rome down the field.
With Karan being activated, what are you looking forward to seeing from him in practice, and what kind of timeline could it be to try to get him up to speed?
Sure. I think, Chris Morgan and Haas, they've done a really good job where he's been on the side, hasn't been able to participate in the live work right there. But from a meeting standpoint, from being locked in, and any chance he's on the field and is in earshot, I've talked to Karan a lot, and he does a great job of taking a mental rep every time he hears the play. So looking forward to him, smart guy, smart, tough, and reliable that can start off, with a good base already. But there's no substitute for getting out there and doing it. So that's the biggest thing. I think like a lot of these stuff, I know I talk about it a lot, but each one of these situations are all just individually based, and there might be different things that you can recall from the past that might lead you to hope one way or another, but that's just hoping because you don't know until that individual does it. But he's put himself in all the, in the best position possible, knowing he's dealing with injuries, knowing he's, worked his way and done a great job with the training staff and the strength conditioning staff to put himself in position to get out on the field. And then, from a mental standpoint, he stayed so locked in every opportunity he's had. So now it's just about going out there and doing it.
What was your interpretation of Tyson's performance on Saturday as it relates to his continued development as well?
Yeah, I love Tyson's poise. He played with that calm, cool, and collected, demeanor at the line of scrimmage, was able to get right through, whether it was right through a progression to a second or third read or number one's there, and he played in great rhythm right there. So he just showed that poise in the running game, the ownership of the offense. So it was great to see, and talk about a guy that hard work pays off, man. No one's going to outwork him, and so it's great to see that out on the field.
All right, that's our offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. A bunch of topics that probably spark some thought, Tom. I'd like to start with just the football intelligence and the acuity of Caleb Williams. It's showing. He's digesting this playbook. He knows a lot about what's going on the football field based on coverages, progressions, correction, whatever. And again, this is just the infancy of his career, but it seems like he's way ahead of the game.
Yeah, he's a lot of encouraging work in the games itself. We've seen a lot of encouraging work in practice and his development through the time that he's been in Lake Forest at Hallis Hall since the rookie mini camp into where he's at right now. The one thing that I like that Shane kind of addressed a little bit is the understanding of protection conditioning. And what I mean by that is when you're run blocking, that's not as exhausting as protection is. So if you're in a 2-minute drill or if you're throwing the ball a lot more, you have to understand that you're going to be fighting on your feet for a lot longer than a run play. And so Shane, to make a point that when he did scramble outside the pocket for that long connection to Rome Odunze, the offensive line didn't get sloppy. And the conditioning of protection is a mindset that an offensive line has to develop, because in the past with the quarterbacks, they've done more scrambling beyond the line of scrimmage, where Caleb doesn't do that. Caleb stays behind the line of scrimmage and looks for open targets. So now you got to do that, that conditioning work that keeps you in shape, that keeps you on your feet, that keeps your feet moving, that you don't become susceptible to any type of penalties or any types of calls that could hurt you.
The thing about that, too, you didn't have to do that much. You guys ran the ball, so you were doing the mashing back in your day.
But when you did get into a 2-minute drill, or you got into a catch-up scenario, or even that game that we lost against the Miami Dolphins in '85, when it was so hot down there and we had to play a brand of catch-up football at the end and we were throwing the ball a lot more, it is more exhausting to pass block repeatedly than it is to run block.
All right, one more on the O-line. So I think we're all excited to see Amagaji get out there. A lot of prospect hope there. A third-round pick invested, Yale, Hinsdale Central. And so torn quad in October, start of the season on the NFI list, but now he's back. What's your optimism on him?
He's got really good balance. I've seen him work out of a right-handed stance and the left-handed stance. He makes the adjustment in his feet. He's got an understanding of how you retreat off the line of scrimmage if you have a pass blocking responsibility. He knows how to get off the ball with good leverage if he's got a run blocking responsibility. But now it's about putting shoulder pads on and helmet, getting in your pants, getting back in a stance, that a meaningful stance since last October. And then, listen, I have all the faith in the world in Chris Morgan, because he does a great job of does the hard investigative work of what position best fits the talent that he's looking at. And so I think it's a perfect matchup between Chris Morgan and Amagaji, and then we'll see in a matter of days, weeks, and months of how Karan fits in this offense best.
All right, time for our first break, and on the other side, we'll be joined by tight end Gerald Everett, the newest Chicago Bear on that Bears offense. That's coming up next here on Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 and the Bears Radio Network.
This is Bears Weekly, with the voice of the Bears for 24 years, Jeff Joniak, on the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network. This segment of Bears Weekly is sponsored by IGS Energy with Tom Thayer, Jeff Joniak, and welcoming in veteran tight end Gerald Everett to the program. Thanks for joining us tonight, and appreciate your time. I'm going back because Caleb's 22, and you just got off the podium here at Hallis Hall earlier today. Right. Everybody's asking a ton of questions about Caleb, so yeah. That's always the topic nowadays, but he's all 22. You entered the league at 22.
I did.
Yeah, so give us your experience at 22 and then kind of overlay it to what he's going through at 22. Granted, different positions, right. Tight end, quarterback, right. But just the maturity level that you see from him or where you were at 22, can you look back now at 30?
Yeah, I was definitely a young kid coming into the city of Los Angeles at 22, obviously going to the Rams and just trying to find my feet in the organization, my role on the team, and what would be asked of me. And obviously you have your own expectations in yourself, and then you have what the team wants you to do or who they want you to be on the field. So I can only imagine what Caleb's going through. But for myself, just wanting to compete and perform to my best capabilities, make my family proud, make the guys back at college proud, and just be as best I could be, really. Complete player, and obviously just staying healthy throughout the whole season.
Kind of mission accomplished.
Right.
You're still going. You're still going strong. So you feel that way? Do you feel mission accomplished, but still some goals to be attained?
I think just being in this business as long as I have been, going into year 8, I think the work speaks for itself, but obviously still wanting to eclipse myself each year and my productivity and everything that I've put up for the team. But with Caleb in mind, I think that he'll have a different set of tools and he'll have a lot more pressure on his back just being quarterback and, number 1 pick and the Heisman winner. Obviously, he's going to have his own set of goals and aspirations to achieve.
And a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. Can't forget that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tommy.
Gerald, I always ask this question because I was a 4th rounder and I thought I should have been picked higher. And when I look at your journey of being a high school basketball player, going to a couple different colleges, and then you have a relationship with Waldron, and then you're a 2nd rounder. Were you surprised that you were a 2nd rounder, or did you expect that?
I was expecting it, honestly. I had a 1st, 2nd round grade, so I could have really left my junior year, but I wanted to make sure I got my degree first and then pursue football after that. But the Rams actually didn't have a 1st round pick my year because they traded up to get Goff, so I probably would have went 1st round if they had that pick available. However, going 2nd round is still a blessing to the city of Los Angeles, so I think that I had a great journey through college and now the NFL.
So when you played basketball, did football become natural to you? Because you look at all the job requirements of a tight end nowadays, an online blocker, a backside blocker, an H-back, a movement tight end, even split out some at wide receiver. Yeah. Was there anything that was attachable from your basketball life to introduce you into the football life?
Well, I started off playing football at a young age, just kind of took a hiatus away from it and picked up basketball and ran track and baseball and all that good stuff. But I would say, for one, the lateral quickness and the agility drills probably translated the most for me. And at the end of the day, I was an all-around sport athlete, so I think that all of that helped me in my translation to football field again.
Gerald Everett, our guest here on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network, getting ready to wrap the preseason. Tom and I were just talking about it. You wait for that first snap in the preseason, and boom, it's gone. It went fast. It did, and there's still work to be done, obviously, before the opener. But do you feel things have gone fast? And is it partly because it's new for you here, a new young quarterback, or is it just a different heartbeat of the preseason nowadays? I don't quite get it myself.
Well, there's a lot of rules that's changing right now, but preseason, I think it's used for young guys to come out and showcase their talents and get some good tape out, whether it be for this team or the next. But for me, it definitely came around fast, just wanting to see the speed of the game at the professional level and get used to my teammates. Obviously, you grow up watching a lot of these guys, and then you're in the locker room playing with them, like you said. So it definitely rolls around fast, but week 1 can't get here any sooner.
Yeah, I tell you, not only is it the cliche, which is also a fact, you get tired of facing the same guys every day. Right. That being said, the way the defense is buzzing around, especially that secondary, there's bad men at every level. On the depth chart, Tom and I have a hard time figuring out, how you going to make these decisions for the 53. But what are you learning about this defense that you didn't know before? You guys played the Chargers last year, but you weren't available for that game, so you missed the Bears defense. But what are you learning about this defense and how fast it plays and what they're up to?
They're fast. They're very fast and physical. I would say one thing that I've learned about them is just their ability to attack to the ball. A lot of guys on the D-line don't really get out much when you in the NFL, I guess, when you're talented, but that's something they preach here and harp on every day. So seeing them punch the ball every rep and D-linemen get out of the stack every rep is something to see for sure.
Gerald, so in 2022, you're with the team again for the first time.
Right.
You got 58 catches, 555 yards. You start 12 out of 16 games. How are you so productive so quickly? Is it transferable to every team? Is it the Shane Waldron factor? Or is it just that you assimilate to the system that you join?
Well, I had a long collegiate career just bouncing around from school to school and different quarterbacks, different teammates, different locations, different classes. So I think I've just kind of calloused myself to that. Naturally, probably, I'd say, and coming to NFL, having Jared Goff, Russell Wilson, and a couple backups here and there, Geno Smith. I've played with some great guys, and now I got Caleb Williams. So can't forget Justin Herbert. I've been blessed.
Yeah, you've been blessed.
I've had a good group of guys to be able to catch passes from. But I would say just each year in the NFL, each game, each day is a blessing, and just taking it in stride, no matter who's behind center or who's throwing it, just trying to be where you're supposed to be.
Well, being a veteran, are you going to bring bully ball to the tight end room?
I have to. There's no other way.
That's just the ability. I mean, that's your physical style of play with the ball in your hand.
Right. I mean, that's just the way I grew up, honestly, playing in the little league and the recreational level. It just kind of seemed to translate to college and now the pros, which is kind of surprising. I thought it to be a little more strenuous than that, but it just kind of seems like it's natural at this point. So I'm just hoping I can just bring that into year 8.
Our final moments here with Gerald Everett. If we could, before you leave, is there any way you could take us into the mind of Shane Waldron? We've had so many offensive coordinators come through this building in the time that we've been doing this for almost 3 decades. Tom and I, what can you tell us without giving away the whole playbook? I'm just saying, have you learned all these years working with him? What's in the mind of an offensive play caller by the name of Shane Waldron?
Well, in the mind of Shane Waldron, I would just say being the most unpredictable guy that you can probably expect. So having a different set of tools and variety of weapons, I would say you never really know what you're going to get, especially if guys who play multiple spots, running backs, even in quarterback room, you never really know what you're going to get. So I'm interested to see myself, even in year 8, what he's going to do.
Like to hear it. I know you got a meeting to get to. We appreciate your time. Good luck this season. Have fun.
Thanks, Tom.
One ball, many weapons. Yep. It's going to be fun. Gerald Everett, our guest. We'll continue after this break on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on the Bears Radio Network. Here's your host, the voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak.
And this segment of Bears Weekly is brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy. Visit athletico.com to request an in-clinic or virtual appointment and start feeling better tomorrow. Jeff and Tom with you as we get set to wrap things up for the preseason against the Kansas City Chiefs. Tommy, 2-time defending champs. There are all conversations about three-peating, which has not been done in NFL history. But they've already bankrolled 3 championships with Patrick Mahomes. Not that we're going to dwell on this because their starters are not going to play. We'll get the word from Matt Eberflus tomorrow, I believe, what they're going to do. But, they were at a -11 in turnover margin last year, gave up 88 points off turnovers, and still managed to grind it out and secure another championship. That's hard to do right there with that kind of turnover ratio. That's one part of it, though.
Well, you think of the beginning of the season when Chris Jones was sitting in the stands waiting for a contract when he's the best defensive tackle in the National Football League. And so they had a lot of writing to do. You got to right the ship. And they had a lot of writing to do before they really got into that Super Bowl type of swing. They had to figure out what their receiver position and how it was going to contribute to the offense. Their run was suffering a little bit. They had penalties by the offensive tackle position. And then Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid and these guys were able to overcome all the Taylor Swift distractions and sail right into a Super Bowl. And I think when you have a quarterback that has the reputation of Patrick Mahomes, you always have a chance.
Yeah, he's an eraser.
And I think that's what the Bears are all hoping for in the career of Caleb Williams. So,
yeah.
Well, you know what? I want to say something about that behind-the-back pass this weekend by Patrick Mahomes. You saw it, right?
Trevor,
obviously.
Yes, I did, yes.
So, I believe the hook shot spiral to DeAndre Swift was equally as impressive to me by Caleb Williams in the Buffalo game. So, I think that, everybody is crazy about the behind-the-back pass. But, listen, you got pressure in your face. You're a rookie, and you hook shot a spiral to DeAndre Swift, and it goes for 42 yards.
Right.
That's equally as impressive reaction as anybody.
I saw a collage of those basically I call them point guard plays, point guard passes by Mahomes over the course of his career that Caleb's put on tape at Oklahoma and USC, and he's put on tape at practice almost every day. So we're going to see a lot of that. What drives me, though, a little bit crazy is that I don't want every time he makes a great play, Caleb, that they put a 2x2 with Mahomes and him and the comparisons that are inevitable, or because of his fondness for Aaron Rodgers growing up and how he respects him in terms of his performance. Let Caleb be Caleb. Let's forge his own style and his own brand out there, as opposed to the easy comparisons to who's the best quarterback or who has been the best quarterback in the National Football League because, that's a lot to live up to, number one. Not that he's shying away from it by any means, but I'm just saying, can't we just have a guy just carve out his own path?
Yeah, but you're always going to get side-by-side awkward arm angle comparisons from Aaron Rodgers, from Patrick Mahomes, and on to Caleb. Because even that throw that he made to Roma Dunze, that's not something that you go into the huddle and you go, all right, guys, 300 protection. I'm going to scramble late to the left, and then I'm going to throw it to Rome 45 yards downfield. Ready, break. No, it's not. You don't do that. And so when you do have those unique types of throws, and if in somebody's mind they remember something from one of those other guys, Jeff, that's something that you're never going to get away from, especially if Caleb continues the growing process that he's shown in his early stages.
Right, and Aaron Rodgers has done a lot of that. Exact same kind of play. So he's done it to the Bears, and he's done it to everybody in the National Football League. All right, I want to switch gears over to Kyler Gordon. We know what impact a nickel is in the National Football League. It's a starting position. Let's be clear about that. You got to have one. You got to have a good one. And the responsibilities and what's on the shoulders of Kyler Gordon or who anybody plays in that position in the NFL is significant. And so he's always been a ball hawk. He has always been around the football, and he certainly was today at practice. And the idea of letting that guy rip on the blitz is great to see. Gordon at the podium today to talk about his performance and what this defense is feeling right now. He says it's something different than they felt a year ago.
The way I characterize it, I feel like it's just a surge of energy, and that's kind of like the way I felt since the day we came in from the first day. Like, everyone just, starving. Like, everyone wants to eat some type of ways, however it is. And we really just build off each other as far as making plays, doing our job, assignment, and just the kind of culture we all created within the locker room. It's kind of uncommon culture, not be the same as everybody else. And we know we want to strive to do and stuff like that. So I'd say a real positive surge of energy.
Uncommon.
The chemistry, especially from the way I've seen my rookie year coming all the way to where we are now, even still being young, but the way that we do talk, critique, positively critique and get on each other and the accountability, the way we hold each other to the standard and stuff like that is just we're on top of it 24/7, really.
Kyler, you talked a lot last year about getting the game to slow down for you after your rookie season. Now that you're in year 3 in this defense, in this role, how do you describe the kind of mental comfort you have on the football field?
Yeah, I say as far as comfortability-wise, it's just how I'm going to make this next play. I'm going to make this next play, or really that's how I would say, and just elevating that and trying to just make more turnovers, more big plays, more exciting plays. And, the slower it gets, just I feel like the more opportunities I see.
I know it's a preseason game, but Flu styled up, especially when you were in that first unit, a lot of blitzes. What does that say just about how aggressive he is, kind of developed into as a play caller and what you got, that type of edge you guys are going to bring this year?
Yeah, I feel like it's less sitting back and put more pressure. And I feel like we all like that, and just applying the pressure on whoever our opponent is. And I like the blitz. Everyone likes to blitz. Everyone likes to be the aggressor, not the receiver. So I feel like that's the kind of approach we're taking.
Yeah, the hammer, not the nail, right? You just want to see that continue now. Hey, are they going to really blitz that much during the season? I don't know, but maybe it's the wrinkle this year, and maybe that will be the case for these guys because they all can do it. There's a lot of guys on that unit can blitz.
Yeah, but you have to have faith in the other portions of your defense if you want the right to blitz. That means you have to have incredible faith in Jalen Johnson and Tariq Stevenson, the rest of the defensive backfield, because you believe those guys can accept difficult man-to-man coverage responsibilities because you're bringing a defensive back up to the line of scrimmage, and then you're unleashing him. He's a super productive guy at or near the line of scrimmage, whether it's a run blitz or a passing blitz, and he understands perfect angles of attack and rarely lets the quarterback escape if he gets a chance to get a shot on him.
Do you feel it was a evaluation, or was this a message?
I think a little bit of both because Kyler has missed a little bit of time. It is an evaluation of where he's at, but it is a message.
Yeah, I mean to the league.
No, I agree with you, but
you
gotta get some feelers out with Kyler since he's been off the field a little bit. but it definitely is a message, because now when you start talking about the offensive coordinators and the first 4 opponents they play, now they're going to not only look at the blitzes that they showed against Cincinnati, they're going to start thinking about all the different blitzes that they've seen throughout time that the Bears could conceivably can use. So, yeah, heck yeah, it's a message, and you better get it loud and clear or else.
I like the or else part. You know it's my favorite. You know.
I know. Listen,
you know.
You live for the corner blitz.
For the corner
you know what?
Blitz.
Just a real clear. So a couple weeks ago, I had dinner with Todd Light. He's a former defensive back from Notre Dame, played in the NFL. And he's known Kyler Gordon for quite a while. And he was recruiting him for Notre Dame when he took it. And he said he was one of the most dynamic defensive backs they ever tried to recruit to Notre Dame. And he almost had him convinced to go there, but then he stayed near home. So, this is kind of a reputation that Kyler's been carrying around for quite a while, and then you see everything work out. The reputation with the production, that's what coaches want out of him.
Right, and a big year 3. And Eberflus loves playing those young DBs. Look what he did with Kenny Moore in Indianapolis, made him one of the premier corners in the NFL. All right, we're going to take another break. That's Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. Tom's thoughts coming up next. I have no idea what's on his mind, but I know he's got some. That's coming up on ESPN 1000 and the Bears Radio Network.
Welcome back to Bears Weekly on the Bears Radio Network. Here's your host, the voice of the Bears, Jeff Joniak.
Calling all Bears fans. You want unforgettable access to see the Chicago Bears play at Soldier Field this season? Well, VIP official ticket packages are now available for every home game. Unlock access to exclusive ticket packages that may include entry to in-stadium hospitality lounges, pregame sideline credentials, and the Chicago City Pass. Visit ChicagoBearsVIP.com or call 866-202-5755 for more information. Again, that's ChicagoBearsVIP.com or call 866-202-5755. Don't miss this exclusive opportunity with Chicago Bears VIP. Jeff Joniak, Tom Thayer here on Bears Weekly. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tom, before we get to your thoughts, I got something. You keep talking about 1,000 reps for an offensive line and an offense to get going. So doing my prep for the Chiefs, even though I know starter's not going to play, I do every player just to have it in the book, and it's there in case we meet them in the Super Bowl. Okay? Just,
right.
Just whatever. You do your work. You're doing it, you do it. So last year, Kansas City, 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen played over 1,000 snaps. And the only one was the left tackle, Donovan Smith. He was injured after 12 starts, but he started the first 12 games of the year, and the other guys all started 17. So they had their offensive line to weather the storms of a slow-evolving offense, even with the league's best quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. Braxton Jones had 1,100 snaps. He was the only Bear to get over 1,000 snaps. So I just thought that was interesting because you keep talking about that 4-digit figure as being important, and I have to trust what you're saying there.
Oh, listen, again, having the luxury of playing with the same group of guys for so many years, when you break the huddle, the time for communication is over. And back in our day, just like the Bears do now, the defenses shifted during the course of a quarterback's cadence. And you couldn't reconfirm your assignments with anybody to the right or the left of you. Or if you were an offensive guard pulling, sometimes you worked with the fullback. So that time of communication is something that has to be so ingrained in every single guy's head that no matter what they do at the line of scrimmage, once you break the huddle, everybody knows exactly what they're doing. And one thing about Kansas City, because they brought a couple of free agents aboard, you got to have that luxury of time in training camp. That's when you need those 1,000 reps together of listening to the quarterback go through his cadence to allow the quarterback to feel as comfortable as the offensive line does together so he doesn't think he's fooling them at the line of scrimmage.
All right, so what kind of thoughts you got tonight, Tommy?
All right, I'm going to give you a deep thought because this is kind of one of the reasons I've always been a little skeptical of Hard Knocks. Because one of the episodes I always hated on Hard Knocks is when they made the cuts. In every single position, Jeff, that the Bears have. You can, if you're a Bears fan, if you're a radio guy, if you're you and I, we could take every single position and along that position there is going to be a veteran or a young guy that has ability that's going to get cut. And it's the least it's the time I like the least in the NFL because it always challenged you. So now these guys have been together since the rookie mini camp and then OTAs. And they forged some friendships that after Thursday night's game, Jeff, you're not going to see that guy anymore. You're not going to walk into a locker room and he's going to be there waiting for you to eat breakfast. Or you're not going to be talking to him on a regular basis about the new plays they installed. So this week for me, it always brings up some difficult memories because we've been around the Bears. We've been there watching practice every day. We know that there's going to be a veteran or a young guy that may have ability down the road that's going to have to walk into Flus's or Ryan Pohl's office with their tablet, turn in their information. And is their dream dead or is their dream going to continue somewhere else? And when I look at the roster this year and I look at the practice habits that a lot of these guys have put on display, it's going to be some of the more difficult cuts that there's been around this organization in quite a few years.
No
every
question.
single position, there is one.
Yeah, no question about that. Just trying to figure it out, especially positions that are heavy. I mean, the defensive backs. That's for me. It's a really, I mean, maybe it's more clear than you want it because you do fall. And I do it all the time. I'd be a bad scout. I think I fall in love with certain players. I love the way they play, their traits, but when you go deeper, like scouts do or coaches do, there's certain things certain players can't do. You know what they can do. You put them in a position to prove what they can do, and if they can't do exactly everything at a high level that you need them to do over the course of a season, and you can't live with that, then you got to part company. That's how it works. None of these guys, it's too big for them. That's for sure. All these guys here have shown me something. I mean it. Like I can make a case for a lot of these guys on both sides of the ball. There's nobody to say, hey, listen. And we've been here, though. We've been here when we said, hey, there's no way this guy's going to make it. This guy, he's not bringing the effort. There's just something's not right. And I used to think it was a cool thing to hear, the compassion of a coach or a general manager to say, hey, listen, man, because now it's just a cliche. Your tapes, you're going out there. We're a team at the moment. But on Thursday night, those guys playing in the fourth quarter, you're putting something on tape for another team. And I get it. It propagates. But that's almost a kick in the teeth, too, because, it's like an admission you don't want me.
Listen, I didn't play preseason football till the second half of the fourth preseason game. Right. And I honestly didn't feel I made the team until I felt I went out there and played confidently. But as, now having almost 40 years in this industry – and going out there and watching these guys every day, I would never sit out here and say it. But, again, it's something that this week to me is never easy because I feel for some of these guys that have invested a lifetime in it. And as we are talking to Gerald Everett today, okay, you come in the league at 22, and here you are at 30. And he talked at the podium before he came and talked to us about a coach says, put your head down, work hard, and in 10 years, you'll be happy about your journey.
Yeah, well, we're going to hear stories on Thursday night about the journeys of some of these guys. The quarterback who's going to be playing for Kansas City, he's got 2 Super Bowl rings, but he hasn't taken a snap, Chris Oladokin, and his story's crazy.
Right.
I mean, he couldn't even find a place to hang his hat in college. He had to go to 3 different colleges, and then finally somebody believed. It's like this sport never ceases to amaze me. Where players come from, why, how long they hang around. I mean, we were joking because I called Ian Booker, and here Ian Book is on this roster for the Chiefs, and he'll likely take some snaps, and it's just a great sport, and all these guys deserve a lot of credit for going through the process of putting on the body armor. The weight room is not easy. Practice is not easy. not getting reps is not easy when you're seeing everybody else get reps.
Tell
and
me
you're
about
just you're standing there wondering, well, what am it's like, wait a minute, what about me? I got something to show, and you're not getting the reps.
If you don't think this is real, man, I walked out of the preseason locker room after not playing, not getting my uniform dirty, no reason to shower, with tears in my eyes, embarrassed to go out there and face my family. Because, and that's what I'm saying, and I don't mean to blobber on about this, but it is always an emotional week for me when I think about where the journey is going for some of these guys. It's the end of the road. Someone might go somewhere else. Nowadays, unlike our days, that we didn't have a practice squad. Now they got a 15-man practice squad that pays well.
That certainly helps.
Really helps. It helps everybody. So I'm just saying that was my thoughts of the day.
It's a good one, Tom. You're being melancholy. I like it. You're softening up on me. You're softening up.
I'm worried about. I'm thinking about the guys.
All right, we're going to take a break. One more segment to go. We'll hear from Tremaine Edmunds from the podium today as well. That's Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak, and this is Bears Weekly on ESPN 1000 and the Bears Radio Network.
This is Bears Weekly with the voice of the Bears for 24 years, Jeff Joniak on the Bears Radio Network.
And this segment is brought to you by CDW. People who get it, Jeff and Tom. Tremaine Edmunds, feeling good about the defense right now.
I mean, last year was a lot of our first times being together. If not first time, was a lot of those players' second year together. Anytime that you can take that, it's like any type of relationship you have, whether it's a friendship, you know what I mean? Like each year is going to get a little bit better. You learn about the person. You learn about, things that may have worked. You learn about things that didn't work. And, you find a way to make it better. And I think that's what it is now. I think it's about really just guys being themselves. Like, I tell everybody every day, like, you don't have to show up being nobody that you're not. Like, for me, I trust the individual more. I respect the individual more if you show up as your authentic self. And that's who I try to show up to be every day. And at the end of the day, I think we have a lot of guys that, what you see is what you get. It's not like I'm going to show up as this person. I'm going to try to be this person. But behind, closed doors, I'm this person. It's like, nah, like, it's a genuine person. And I think when you have a group of genuine people, I think that bond and, like, that energy that you feel, like, it's just naturally going to feel different. And, that's nothing to say. Like, last year was a lot figuring it out. Even this year, still figuring it out. We got a lot of new pieces still. But, like I said, there's a lot of us have played together. A lot of us know, I kind of know how this guy is. Like, I know his personality. I know, as funny as it sounds, things that might, make him smile or things that get on his nerve, whatever it may be. Like, that type of relationship and that type of energy, man, is what drives, winning football teams. And, we developing that, man. We still developing it now. And it's like an ongoing process, you know what I mean? Like, you don't just develop that in the off season or training camp and then that's it. Now you develop that through the adversity you face throughout the year. You know what I mean? It's going to be ups, it's going to be downs. But, the stuff that we building now is what's going to get us over that hump.
Okay. I absolutely love that whole thing right there, Tommy, to wrap us up.
Listen, there's a lot of veteran intelligence right there. And if you're a high school kid or a young college kid, listen to that again, because Tremaine Johnson is talking – or Tremaine Johnson. I played football with Tremaine Johnson in the USFL. Tremaine Edwards.
Edmunds.
Tremaine Edmunds. I'm such an idiot. He's got a lot of great experience, and I think what he says is so true about the teammates and the team relationship you build.
Tommy, we'll see you Thursday night. Kansas City to wrap things up, 7:25 the kickoff, 5 o'clock the pregame coverage begins with Sylvie and the crew. We'll be bringing it to you. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thanks to Gerald Everett, Justin Pottinger, and all our crew. Bleck and Abdallah are next. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Chicago Bears Network presentation of Bears Weekly, hosted by the mayor of Bearsville, Jeff Joniak, and Surfmaster Tom Thayer. Podcasts are available on the Chicago Bears official app, brought to you by Verizon and Apple Podcasts. Bears Weekly has been brought to you by Miller Lite.